there and like buy land nearby, in a year or so, once we have a permanent location. We want people to come there and buy land next door and start developing it. We want to create a self-sufficient agricultural community, local food production. So, that's one thing you can do. Another thing you can do is you try to improve your standard of practice as much as possible. We're going to be going through very difficult times. So hopefully this won't distract you from your practice of Krishna consciousness. In fact, it should really make you more serious by showing how serious life in this material world really is, how dangerous it is, how at any point our life can be snuffed out. We have no idea when that's going to be. We've reached that time when life has become so serious, so dangerous, so risky. You'll see more and more over the next year how things will get crazier and crazier as we approach 2012. So don't let these things stop you. In fact, let them encourage you more and more to get serious and to chant the holy name purely without any offense. That's the best thing you can do. That's it? Okay.
In the beginning stages, when the disciple is trying to offer service to the guru, many times the service is contaminated by bad intelligence or misunderstanding or impure motives or other kinds of impurities, and then we get correction from the guru, and then like that slowly we learn better and better. In your case, after Śrīla Prabhupāda left this world, did you ever find yourself floundering about, is this service acceptable to Śrīla Prabhupāda, and did you get direction?
No, I never had to worry about that. I was very clear what Śrīla Prabhupāda wanted, because I had taken the time to study his books very deeply. I felt that I knew Śrīla Prabhupāda really, really well, because I had read his books, at least 3 times. Each of his books. So by the time that I left ISKCON, went independent, it was very, very clear in my mind what Śrīla Prabhupāda wanted. What was not clear was how I could ever offer it to him. Because I had such limited, a limited idea of my own ability to serve. That was the biggest impediment to my service, or to continued service to Śrīla Prabhupāda. To me, it was very clear, and Śrīla Prabhupāda himself, when I was in his personal service, when I was doing, lining up his engagements in India and stuff like that, he never chastised me. He never corrected me. I mean, he never thanked me or encouraged me either, but I didn't need that. I mean, it was actually astonishing the degree of insight that Śrīla Prabhupāda had into my mentality. The fact that I was made an editor of his Caitanya-caritāmṛta, the Antya Lila, the last 2 volumes of Madhya Lila and the 5 volumes of Antya Lila. I was continuity and sense editor. In other words, I was to go through, make sure that each and every word was used properly according to English grammar, and that the whole thing was continuous and made sense. See, continuity editor. And in other words, if there was a gap in the logic or something, maybe we had to go back to Śrīla Prabhupāda and say, we need a little explanation here about this and that, so that the reader doesn't get lost. And I had to do that a couple of times. And, then also sometimes there were big discussions about the wording and which precise wording should be used, and according to English grammar and stuff like that. And these things, I never personally presented them to Śrīla Prabhupāda. This was always like the senior editors did that. It was just my job was to raise the issue, and then they would take care of it. But anyway, I had to literally study every single word of Prabhupada's most advanced writings. And after that, and then I went back and read all of his books again with new eyes, And I felt that I really understood Śrīla Prabhupada, his mission, his purpose, everything, really clearly. And this was borne out later by my experience in India. So then, all the same time, also when I met with his sister Pishma, just shortly after Śrīla Prabhupada's disappearance, she confirmed this, that I had understood very, very well. So, see, it's like, it's tough for me sometimes to understand how a devotee could misunderstand. Because Prabhupada has taken so much trouble to express everything with perfect clarity. And if we simply take shelter of Śrīla Prabhupada's books and study them carefully, then we can get that same clarity, that same understanding. So why should there be any question about what the correct philosophy is, or what the meaning of Prabhupada's books is, or how we should serve, or what we should do? And to me, that's all been perfectly clear for over 20, 30 years now. So it's very hard for me to understand how a devotee could misunderstand any of that, because it was so clearly and perfectly expressed in Prabhupada's books. So if sometimes I seem to lack patience for devotees' misunderstandings, it's because it's very difficult for me to understand how anyone could misunderstand. Prabhupada did an excellent job. And he had expert help, expert editors and expert publishers and like that. So those books are, as clear as they can possibly be. All we have to do is actually read them and study them. Clear our misunderstood terms, keep the dictionary open by our side, look up those words, get the exact definition for each and every word, and then the meaning will be clear. I mean, how many times do I have to say that before people actually do the work? It's like I'm getting tired of saying it. People say, well, why don't you teach more on the beginning level so that everybody can understand? I am teaching on a beginning level. You want me to teach before the beginning level? No, I already did that. I'm not going to do that anymore. Now the people who are coming, by now they should know many, many things. They should have some background, some familiarity. If there are people who haven't or who can't understand these kind of talks, they should go back and review Secrets of the Soul and Your Perfect Body podcasts and like that. All of those things, everything is discussed. All the preliminaries, exhaustively discussed. So we don't need to talk about that stuff anymore. We need to talk about the more advanced stuff, which is actually still beginning level. If there's some question of misunderstanding, if there's some question of offenses, if there's some question of anarthas, we're still in the beginning Kanishta Adhikari level. We have not understood what is devotional service. The gateway of Madhyama Adhikari opens when one understands this philosophy as it is. And he conquers his anarthas. That's the beginning of Madhyama Adhikari. See? That's the beginning of even the possibility of spontaneous devotional service. And that's still in the realm of sadhana. That's still in the realm of practice. It's still not the real thing. It's still the developing stage. So try to understand. From my perspective, the things that we're talking about are very, very, very neophyte. And to me, it's hard to understand how anyone would still have all those issues when they've been so perfectly and exhaustively discussed in Prabhupada's books. You know? So, you know, the answer is always study, 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 practice, practice, practice. That's, you know, and I can't do that for you. You know? I'm not Tinkerbell. I don't have the magic wand, the pixie dust and the whole bit, you know. But the holy name, remember, the holy name is a desire tree. So whatever you desire while you're chanting the holy name,